Who are you?
Whoever you want me to be.
Don't say I never gave you anything.
It's feeling epic.
3 words. 8 letters.
I remember everything.
As we go on, we remember all the times we had together. Woo!
Yeah!
It's graduation time!
Woo-hoo!
Welcome back to Previously on Teen TV. I'm Jillian Benani.
I'm Claire Wojciechowski.
And if you couldn't tell, we are talking all about graduation today. A pivotal moment, I feel like, in all of these teen shows.
Yes, commencement is, very exciting. It brings the conclusion of the high school chapter of these shows. Sometimes the best years of their lives.
I know. I feel like I love it in these shows because it is such a moment of like we're closing a chapter in like the high school years. We don't really know what's next. It's like an exciting time in these shows.
Yeah.
And sentimental.
Oh, yeah. You get a lot of reflection, a lot of looking back on previous years, previous memories. And it's definitely like we're ending this, and something new is starting, but we don't know what it is yet, which is fun.
It's similar to honestly how it is in real life.
Oh, 100%.
Where it's like you're closing the chapter on school. You're headed into something new. It's exciting. It's sentimental. It's all the feelings.
Absolutely. Did you have any sort of fun or sentimental moments at your high school graduation or in the hours afterwards?
I feel like I really remember graduation well. Like it's something that is really like stuck in my brain. I mean, maybe because I watched all these shows so much. So like I knew it was like a pivotal time, but I do feel like it really was like just a moment of like, oh, this is like the last time we're all going to be together. And we have all like gone through all these years of school together. You've had your ups and downs with people. You've just like been through a lot. And I was going to school far away. So
Yeah.
I feel like it was like a big moment for me in that sense of, I wasn't going where a lot of like my friends were going. And I was kind of the outlier who was, going to New York.
Yeah.
It was just like a pivotal time. It was, really like reflective and exciting too. But I do remember on graduation day, me and my friends, we got a limo to go to graduation.
Oh, wow.
I know, how cool was that?
Very exciting.
And I just remember like being in that limo, like we were all like singing to like...
Did you have a Laguna Beach moment post prom?
Yes, it was very similar to that. It did feel like a moment from one of these shows.
Oh, that's so
where we were
nice.
just like all like on such a high, and then we like get to the graduation and like everyone is staring at us as we like get out of this limo.
That's
so
fun.
funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you?
Nothing quite so chic as a limo.
I'm so chic in my limo, Claire.
No, I think like I don't remember much about like the ceremony or even feeling sentimental. I think because
Yeah.
I knew I had a summer ahead of me with my friends.
Yeah.
But I remember like lining up before the ceremony started, and I was next to these two guys who like we are alphabetically, our names are together, and so I had been next to them for assemblies and award ceremonies and all this stuff. And so like Tim and Kyle, if you're listening, they're not, but but I remember like looking at the two of them and being like, you guys, like this is the last time we're going to be in line together, because it was like a few times a year for 4 years, and it was just like I in my head I wish I had my camera in that moment to take a picture with them, but I didn't have anything on me. But like I was like, we've been through so much together, like we were all in the same classes, and it's like, oh, we're never going to be in line together again. It was so minor.
Wait, no, I totally know what you mean though. Like I remember my line buddy, Brian Gonda.
Yes.
That is so true that you had that person who like you were in line next to for those 4 years.
Yes.
And like your lockers were by each other, at least in my school. That's such a good point. I forgot about like that person.
Oh yeah, it was Tim Watalka and Kyle Weininger, and then it was me, and I was like, you guys, like this is it, And then after graduation, my friends and I, we went and played softball.
Oh, that's fun.
At a park. So very wholesome.
We did one of those like graduation like parties, but like it was a school like function event, so there wasn't like drinking. I think we were breathalyzed before we had to go in.
That's wow. I mean, that's nice that the school did something for you. They were like, you're done, get the fuck out, you know.
No, for us it was like, oh, you can like win a toaster, there's games, like stuff like that.
Gotcha.
I can't remember what it was called. It had a like specific name, and I was like, I got an iron.
That's
and then
fun.
My mom was like, we already have an iron for you.
Like for college, I assume.
Yeah, it was like you can get all this stuff for college. Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
But yeah, what a fun time.
Yeah.
It feels similar to these shows.
Yeah.
Of, you know, they're kind of like wrapping up this chapter. And it is just so wild of like, you live your life doing this thing every day.
Yes.
Like you go to school, you see these people, and then all of a sudden it's just done.
It's just done. Yeah. And you never go back to it. You don't know what's going to happen. It's an abrupt shift in your life. I think.
like, we don't talk about it enough.
It was
How wild
traumatizing.
this is. Like, it's crazy. And it's crazy on these shows, too.
Yes.
So we are going to talk about our favorite graduation episodes today. And to put a little fun twist on it, we're going to give each of them a superlative, you know, something that you might be able to find like in a high school yearbook,
Yes.
like most likely to, or most whatever.
Yeah. Class clown type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you get any superlatives in high school at all?
I was third place in best dancer.
Wow, third place. I can't believe there were like multiple places.
They only did that my senior year where they would pick the winner, and the winner had like their photo in the yearbook, and then like they would be like second place, third place, or whatever. And so I was third.
Well, that's something.
You know, yeah. My best friend was second, and then our other friend was first.
Oh,
so we were like,
oh,
yeah. Anyway, we don't have to talk about
fun.
that.
Ooh, she's mad about that third place.
I mean,
she has not
This
forgotten
would make
it.
a good storyline.
I'm
I know.
not mad that my friend got second. I'm mad that the other friend got first.
Oh, I like this. This is giving a little Blair
We're not
and
friends
Serena.
anymore.
Ooh, Blair and Serena.
All because she got first in the yearbook. That bitch.
Wow, Claire has not gotten over this. We are gonna find her and TP this girl's house.
Yeah, it's all good. No, we're fine.
Well, I didn't get any, so I didn't
I'm
get a
sorry.
third place. I got nothing.
It's all made up, as are the superlatives we've chosen today.
Once again, showing me I wasn't popular enough. All right. Well, should we get into the episode?
Let's get started.
All right. So let's start off with the most sentimental, which goes to the Vampire Diaries. The episode's titled Graduation, as it should be. And it's season 4, episode 23.
Yes. So unfortunately, we don't get a valedictory speech in this episode, which we get in so many of them.
That really bummed me out about this episode, I will say. But overall, a good episode.
We watched this and I was like, this is actually a really delightful episode because we get so many returning faces.
Yeah.
Which again, part of the graduation thing, people are coming back, they're closing that chapter. So if you don't recall, the veil between the worlds is lowered because of a spell that Bonnie has done. And so all of these ghosts are walking around Mystic Falls, some of which include Rick and Jeremy and Lexi. They are all
our favorites.
We love them, particularly Lexi. It was so nice to see
know.
Lexi and Stefan just getting day drunk. Which was so fun.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, so that's why I think this one's sentimental because we get these people who get to come back and they get to have closure. They get to properly say goodbye to their loved ones who are still living, which they didn't get before.
And I feel like that like parallels with graduation of like, you know, we're able to say goodbye. We're like closing a chapter. So I feel like the Vampire Diaries did their graduation episode in like a really interesting way like that. And I love these traditional high school moments that we get in the Vampire Diaries because they're a little more few and far between. It is a supernatural show. And I think sometimes it's hard to like weave in those moments. But I love when they're able to do it. And I did think they did a great job of it in this episode. It's just like so nice even like seeing them all in like a cap and gown. And like still, you know, like fighting for each other and lots of drama going on, but it's like you know, just kind of like having that moment of like seeing them all together and seeing them in a cap and gown is is always like so great. I love those like human moments they're able to bring into the show.
Yeah, and we do get one of those in this episode where they're waiting to walk into graduation, and Caroline looks at everyone and she goes, "We did it!" And it's so Caroline. She's like,
love that moment.
"We made it, you guys!" And she's like, "Group hug," and Stefan's like, "I don't really do that," but they do a group hug, and it's like it's really sweet and very human. That like, you know, half of them are dead, but they're still able to celebrate this milestone together.
I love Caroline in those moments where she's like, guys, this is a big deal, even if we're vampires. Like, we're graduating high school. Like, she really brings it back down to that human level, and I do love that.
I know.
She's great.
This episode, though, also sets us up for the future. It closes that high school chapter, but we do get a hint of things to come because Elena finally makes her choice and tells Damon that she loves him. Not because she met him first, not because of the sire bond. She just flat out loves him, and they kiss, and it is beautiful.
It's so good. Yeah. I know. They really, there's a lot of like fun and exciting and big moments in this episode. I mean, we get one of my favorite moments in the entire series when Klaus tells Caroline, he's your first love, but I intend to be your last, no matter how long it takes. I mean,
it's everything.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's such a good moment. And even him just like coming into town too to like save the day is like such a great moment.
When he saves the day, do you remember how he saves the day?
He takes the graduation cap and like
he decapitates.
Yeah, decapitates. I'm like, I'm doing the motion.
Yes.
And I'm just doing the motion that our listeners cannot see.
Yeah. He takes the cap and he like flings it like a frisbee and decapitates a ghost witch.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Oh, how could I forget it? I feel like that's like etched in my brain. Yeah. So yeah, really big moments like that in this episode.
Yeah. We also get the cure. We finally find out what happens to the cure, and Elena force feeds it to Catherine. We get Catherine in this episode, which is fun.
Love it.
Forces Catherine to become a human, which is excellent.
Oh my God, those episodes where she's a human is so good.
Oh yeah, because she hates it so much.
They set up a lot for the next season in this, and I remember thinking when I was first watching this, of like, sometimes you don't know what you're going to get with like a graduation episode. Like, are we just going to like more focus in on this moment and not set up much for next season and just like really start fresh? Or are we going to like leave some cliffhangers and, you know, set up a lot for the next season? And I think a lot of times it can go either way. And in this one, they set up a lot for the following season.
Right. Because the big cliffhanger, the final moment, is we find out that Silas's true face looks like Stefan. He's a Stefan doppelganger. And then he locks Stefan in a safe and pushes him into the quarry. And that's how the episode ends.
I hate that storyline.
I hate it too.
It's so sad and dark, and like it like makes me claustrophobic even just thinking about it. Like it like seriously, I'm like anytime I think about it, I'm like I'm gonna get a panic attack thinking about Stefan like drowning over and over and over again.
And it's
sweet baby Stefan.
I know, and it's
love.
extra. It's extra brutal too because he's just had to say goodbye to Lexi again.
Yeah.
And Elena has chosen Damon. So he's heartbroken because he doesn't have Elena. His best friend has disappeared for good. And then he gets thrown into the quarry. And people don't realize he's missing for a long time, which is a bummer.
Which is also very sad.
Yes.
Like, hasn't Stefan been through enough?
Honestly,
you know?
I know.
They really were overdoing the sadness. But it's a great storyline.
Yeah.
Like, as we're talking about it, I am just like, wow, I can't believe how much they did set up for the next season.
They packed a lot into this episode. So yeah, I think a good one overall. Lots of sentimental moments in the graduation episode for the Vampire Diaries.
We love it. We love the sentimental moments.
All right. So most likely to succeed, I think, has to be Gilmore Girls. That graduation episode is called "Those Are the Strings, Pinocchio." Which is, of course, referring to the whole, family Friday night dinner situation.
Yeah.
We do get a valedictory speech in this one.
It's so good. It's one of my favorite ones, I think, on TV ever.
Yeah, it's because it's so heartfelt.
Yeah, the emotion behind it, and Rory just like crediting Lorelai for everything she's achieved and saying the person she most wanted to be like was her. Just pulls at the heartstrings.
It's beautiful. And like the whole, like all of them in the audience are crying. Like Luke is getting like emotional too, and Luke never gets emotional. And, Lorelai and Suki are tearing up. It's great.
I think too, I love this graduation episode because On Gilmore Girls, we really do see Rory in school a lot.
Yes.
Like, it's a big part of the show, actually. And a lot of these other shows, you know, we don't really always like see them in school much. But Chilton was like a huge storyline for the show. It's how we start out the show. We see Rory studying all the time. We see her in class. We know her classmates. So this really did feel like a closing of that chapter. And it felt like a big deal. Like, I really felt like, you know, we were all graduating or something as you're watching it.
And I think what's nice too is that Rory herself finds closure with a lot of people. Like, it deliberately chooses that.
Yeah.
Like, she hugs Paris and they're like, most of the time I hated you. And she's like, yeah, I feel the same way, but they're smiling when they say it, which is really sweet.
Yeah.
She also importantly breaks up with Jess.
Love it. It's a great moment.
It's a really good speech that she gives him.
She calls him on the phone.
He calls her.
Oh, right.
Well, he calls her first and keeps hanging up.
Oh my God.
So then she calls him.
Right.
Yeah. And she's like, because she's not sure that it's him. She's like, I think this is you. And she gives him the speech. Yeah. Which says like, I think I might have loved you, but like, it's over now. And that's it.
And gets her closure.
Yes.
We love it. I know. Well, because Jess just ran out on her, left town, nothing. And then, we don't really see him either. He's filming his own pilot. But so it was nice to like get that closure with the Rory and Jess storyline.
Yeah.
For sure.
We also see her, you know, sort of make peace with Dean.
Yeah, that is another sweet moment. I like that Dean was in this episode. It felt appropriate. He was a big part of the high school years of the show. And I feel like we needed that moment.
Yeah, where she's just like acknowledging that like they're not together anymore, but she's happy for him. She wants him to be happy in his marriage.
Yeah, it's shocking to even say the word marriage with Dean when he's like just graduating high school.
Yeah, they're engaged and they're seniors in high school, but you know, okay.
Whatever floats your boat.
Yeah.
It starts hollow. Anything goes, you know? Mm-hmm. But then we get another really big, like, full circle moment in this, and that is Rory when she goes to Richard and Emily to ask for money for Yale. Because Lorelai doesn't qualify for financial aid,
right?
And Rory wants Lorelai to use that money to buy the dragonfly.
Yeah.
So I love that moment where it's like when we see Rory go to them about the money. It's just like it's such a callback to the pilot, and again, it's like full circle with Rory's school and Chilton.
Right.
And we're closing that door and opening another.
Yeah, we know that she's going to Yale, and so I think that the nod to that is exciting.
Yeah.
We also, you know, part of the deal that Rory makes is similar to the deal that Lorelai made, where it's like she will show up for dinner every Friday night. We know that this is going to continue, that, you know, Richard and Emily are going to continue to be in their lives, and Lorelai's going to go too, because out of solidarity, and also like it's expected. And that's where the episode title comes from, where they're like, you know, oh no, like they don't expect you to come, it's just me. And then they say, oh, we'll see you next Friday to both of them.
Yeah.
And she's like, those are the strings, Pinocchio. Like, you know, you knew that I was going to get roped into it. You should have known.
It's a great line.
It's good.
It's really good. What is your most memorable moment of this episode, would you say?
I mean, it's got to be the speech, Rory's speech.
I know.
You know, when she's, you know, talking about how much she loves her mom, and she credits Richard and Emily too. She's like, I live in two worlds, and one is a world of books and the other one is, you know, created by my mother. And they're like, definitely not crying. Lorelai and Suki are both like, we're not crying, we're not crying. It's really great.
I do love Suki in this episode too. She's great. I love it when Rory and Lorelai are like running through the halls of Chilton. I just feel like it's like a really great shot of like seeing the school too, and this is the last time we're gonna see it. I love that it's like we fully close this chapter. We don't go back.
Right.
Which is nice. And I think that that's kind of rare sometimes for these shows to do.
Yeah.
And I do think that like in this graduation episode, it is a lot about just closing that chapter.
Yes.
We're not setting up much. There's not like a cliffhanger about Yale or like something crazy like that. We are like, there's not many loose ends.
Right. It's a clean break between this season and the next season, where we have no idea where it's going to go next.
And season 4, wild.
Yeah, not my favorite, but that's a story for another day.
I will say though, season 3 of Gilmore Girls is such a good season. I think it's probably my favorite. And this was a really good ending to it, I thought.
Yeah, it was a nice way to wrap everything up.
I feel like I do get very emotional when I watch these graduation episodes. Like, if they are walking across the stage, like I cannot help but tear up.
Oh,
I know. Like, I don't know why. Like, I think it's just like so sentimental to have like, oh, now the show's going to change. Like, a lot of times for the worse. I don't know. I'm like, because like, especially on these 22 episode shows where it's like, you really felt like you were like living with these characters and really like you saw so much that it does feel like when you get to the graduation, it's just like, an emotional ride.
Yeah.
Like we did it. We made it. I watched all these episodes to get here.
Yeah, it's kind of a catharsis a bit because
Yeah.
you're turning over a new leaf.
Yeah. You didn't cry when they walk across the stage?
I don't think so.
Oh.
But I'm emotionally dead inside. Sorry.
Well, speaking of emotionally dead inside, I don't know. That's not a transition for this, but let's move on to the most dramatic.
Yes.
Which goes to One Tree Hill. The graduation episode is season 4, episode 20, the birth and death of the day. But then it also like rolls into the next episode, which then is the season finale, episode 21, All of a Sudden I Miss Everyone. I feel like this is the most dramatic episode because we start out the episode with like Lucas shooting a gun at Dan.
And Karen is pregnant and passed out on the floor next to him.
Like, it's kind of wild.
It's a crazy episode.
I kind of had wished that they would have like wrapped up the like the Dan and like that storyline like in the episode before or something. Like I was like, why? I don't want this to go in the graduation. Like One Tree Hill is such a like sentimental show and it's so much about like the future and what that means.
Yeah.
And it's like I could have just watched a full episode of that. I did not need Karen in a coma.
I mean, I think that is what we get in the finale, in the second half of it. Like, because really, the first part of the episode is, the stress of Karen in the coma, and the word is spreading about what Dan did. That Lucas tells Deb that Dan is the one that killed Keith. All of this stuff is going on, and so it ends with a valedictory speech from Haley,
which is so good. I love that moment.
It's great.
I think it's such a great moment. She's giving her speech and then she starts to go into labor. But the way that she does it, the way that this was done, I thought was really well done.
Yeah.
It's just such a cute moment. And she just says like, I have more, but I think I'm having my baby.
Right.
But she kind of laughs as she says it. And it's just like, it's so cute. I love it.
It's great.
And I love like the start of her speech too, of like, it's a very kind of like, go after it.
Yes.
Like, give something to the world. Like, it's just a really good start of a graduation speech.
But also, it ties back to the pilot with
it.
the quote from Julius Caesar, "There is a tide in the affairs of men," which taken at the something.
Yeah, blah, 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 blah.
But
whatever.
it's about seizing the day, essentially. And so it's a callback, but it's also inspirational.
And we get the full flashback, too. They give us a flashback to season 1 in the pilot episode when Haley gives the book to Lucas. Which is just a great moment. And I love that it's like ties Lucas and Haley together. So I love that there's a nod to that in the speech. I thought it was smart that they brought it back to the pilot in that moment.
But we do get, as you said, that sort of wraps up mostly in that first episode. And the second half of the second episode, the finale, is the sentimental stuff, is the just like, they're all at this house party in the woods and they're just literally, they're talking about like how far they've come and looking back and like looking toward the future. It is very sentimental and self-aware of that sort of emotion.
It's everything I wanted.
It is.
It's so good. I just love when they're all talking about like, what's next and talking about just like the people they want to be. Like I just feel like that is, One Tree Hill just does that so well. So I was glad that they leaned into that for this episode, and it's like just what I wanted to close the high school chapter, because then we get the big time jump in season 5. So it is like everything is different. They jump ahead 5 years. So I was just glad that we had a really good closing to the high school years, and we see them play basketball in the river court.
Yeah.
And it's just such a good ending and such a callback to like the early episodes of the show. And just as a viewer, it's just like, pulls on your heartstrings.
Yeah, they did a really great job with these graduation episodes. And I kind of think the show, if it had ended there, I would have been satisfied. But, you know.
I know. I totally do get what you mean with that because everyone's kind of in a good place. We kind of can tell where people are going to be headed.
Yeah.
But I like the jump ahead to the future. I thought it was a smart choice for the show. I like that we get to see Nathan make it to the NBA. I just like those moments. I think it could have ended after season 6. I'll take 5 and 6.
I would take 5 and 6.
Yeah, but I get what you mean. It could have really ended.
It could have, yeah. But I love season 6, so I would have been happy with that. But yeah, just they did a great job. And everybody's there. Even like the minor characters are back too.
I love that they bring Rachel back in the last episode. Like that just felt really important to like have her there. She's a big part of the show for their entire senior year.
Yeah.
And I like that they brought her back.
Yeah, they're dancing to the Spice Girls. It's fun.
It's a fun episode. I loved when One Tree Hill did episodes like this, where it was just kind of like everyone hanging out, like having fun. Like we're not really moving much plot forward, but we're just having some nice moments with these characters. Like we get a lovely like Lucas Nathan moment. We get a lot of good like Lucas Haley moments, like just like callbacks to early stuff of the show.
Yeah, it's just like nice to see like. They're all friends. They're all getting along. They're wrapping it up in a really great way. So good job, One Tree Hill.
We love it.
All right.
All right. What's next? This is our final episode.
Our final grad up.
This is a big grad up.
I mean, it's the most likely to surprise you, and that is the OC, season 3, Ep 25, called The Graduates.
I mean, this is a huge episode because of the ending.
This
is the episode where Marissa dies.
Yes.
Didn't see that coming.
Nope.
Although, should we have? Like, when you're rewatching it, knowing what happened.
They're telegraphing it the whole time.
Exactly. Like, it's like they're bringing Caitlin back in and, like, alluding that, like, we're going to see her at Harbor in the next season. Everyone is crying a lot in the episode. Yeah. And I feel like there's, like, nice moments, too, between Ryan and Marissa. And, like, in a way that just seemed like, Ben, you seem to be acting a little different in these scenes now that you know that this will be it, I think.
I think you watch it back and I think the whole episode feels like they were building to the goodbye for Marissa.
I know.
Because like you said, Caitlin comes back and she literally says, you know, Dad told me that Marissa's going off to Greece or whatever for him. He said, you might need another daughter to worry about, and that's why I decided to come home for good. So they're literally laying the groundwork that this daughter is replacing Marissa.
Yeah.
And then Taylor literally says, like, she's off to go spend the summer with her lover, and she says, oh, it's been a pleasure being second circle core. She literally acknowledges the fact that she's a secondary character, and Seth replies, I think you can join the inner circle. Like, hello.
When it's like, there's only room for 4 people in the inner circle.
And it's because Marissa's going to die, and they're going to promote Taylor to the inner circle. Like, we
should have seen it.
We should have. And
they're hinting.
I know. It's so self-aware, but it's just like light bulbs constantly when you look back and you're like, oh, right, they were telling us that Marissa was leaving for good.
I know. We do get some really lovely graduation moments, though, in this episode. I love when we see, like, the core 4 taking photos together. It's just, like, a really pretty scene of all of them, like, walking across the stage, and the parents are actually, like, all there.
Yes.
We have Dawn come back, Ryan's mom, which is really sweet. So it's just like a lot of those sweet graduation moments in there. Like, I definitely teared up at this one.
Yeah.
And we get a lovely valedictorian speech from Taylor Townsend.
Yes. She is, quirky and funny, and ends it with, don't let the bastards get you down.
I feel like I definitely quoted that, like, at my graduation. Like, I feel like I, like, kept saying that, and I'm like, no one knows what this is from. They think I invented it. Yeah. So that was a really great moment. And then, of course, we get one of my favorite moments in the episode is when we have the core 4 all hanging out at the model home, and they're splashing about in the pool, just like having fun, laughing. Like, we haven't seen that from them in a long time.
No.
And it's such a great moment.
Yeah, it's lighthearted. It's just silly, and it's it brings it back to it's the same model home that they burned down in the second episode of the show.
Yeah.
And it's so lovely, and like they acknowledge, like, Summer's like, oh, I can't believe I had a crush on Ryan when he first came to town. Like, that's like sort of looking back on it. It's great.
There's a lot of callbacks to like the pilot and the early episodes of the show, which I love. Like I need those full circle moments in these episodes. Like I love those like sentimental stuff because as somebody, like a lot of the viewers rewatch these episodes. We know these moments. We know these lines. They're important to us. So I love it when they, bring it back to that.
Yeah. And you see too, like when Marissa's about to leave and the way that she says goodbye to Summer is like, you can tell like it's like she's leaving forever.
I mean, the tears are like streaming like down her face. It is really sad to actually watch back.
Yeah.
And I love the moment between her and Ryan as they're about to leave. And when Marissa says, I'm sorry for everything. And then Ryan says, I wouldn't have done it any other way except maybe Oliver, which is a great just callback to season 1 of the show. It's such a great moment between the two of them. And she kind of laughs.
Yeah, it's perfect.
It really is perfect.
Yeah.
It is like a great goodbye for Marissa, I would say.
Yeah, like as annoying as we find it that they killed her off in the first place, this episode is like a really beautiful tribute to her. And like she's finally getting along with Julie. Like they're in a good place. She's going to go off and like try to find herself. So like it makes it more tragic, but it's also like nice that they honored her in that way.
Yeah, I'm glad that they gave her those moments. I think that they were really good. And at least we were able to like wrap that up. It's a big episode of like wrapping those like storylines up. We don't really set up much for the future at all because obviously everything changes.
Right.
So I guess they do set up the future with killing Marissa.
Yeah, but, they hint that like these two new, like Caitlin and Taylor are going to become important. But as far as like plot lines, we don't have any idea.
Like no one's really talking about college much, which is very interesting. Like again, should have seen this coming.
Yeah, you watch it and you're like, oh, she's gonna die.
I know.
And I think if we watched it today, like for the first time, as savvier viewers, we'd be like, something's gonna happen.
Yeah, we'd be like, what is going on here? No one's even like talking about going to college. There's like no plans for the future. Yeah. Like the future is barely mentioned at all.
Yeah.
You know what else I was thinking while I was rewatching this episode? What? I know. I'm sorry. I view Adam Brody differently now in season 3. Like he is so lethargic in this episode and like so subdued. And I was like, this is not Seth Cohen.
Like
I think I am just like after reading the OC book when they said that they gave him the pot storyline because he was like such a like toned down version of Seth. I was like, I was really seeing that in this episode and now it like bothers me. I can't look away from it.
I'm sorry.
Like, I know.
But I see what you mean because his apology to Sandy is like, so he's like, I'm sorry, I burned down your office. Like, it's just like, he doesn't care.
It's so crazy. Like, it's just so different from like season 1 Seth Cohen. And it just like feels like a completely different character. I mean, he looks great in this season, I will say. His hair looks amazing. He looks good.
They all look really good.
But I was like, in that moment with Sandy, I was like, this is not it.
Yeah.
And I was like, are they trying to say he's like feels bad for what he did? Like he's so like not energetic.
Yeah. It's a bummer.
And it is like a kind of a bummer to rewatch, but I kind of want to rewatch all of season 3 now and really look for it.
I feel like that's a path to heartache for you.
I know. No, Claire's like, don't do this to yourself.
Don't do it for your own mental health.
I know. I'm already depressed about it, and I watch like one episode.
Yeah. But that's how this episode leaves you. You know, it's surprising and it's upsetting, and you know you want to feel good about the graduation, and this one just leaves you bummed.
I know. It is just a bummer because I did really like the graduation moments. I did think they did it in a really great way, but it almost like you forget about those moments because of the ending with Marissa.
I know.
So it kind of takes away from it a little bit.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Sometimes graduations are sad. So I think maybe it's appropriate. You know, like sometimes it's a negative experience for people, I guess. So.
Well, I don't want to watch that.
Yeah.
So do you have a favorite of these episodes? Like, what do you think was your favorite graduation episode?
Of the 4 that we've talked about, I mean, probably the One Tree Hill ones. I just think they're like the most fun.
Yeah, they really like know how to do graduation there. They know how to like hit on the sentimental moments and the heartstrings for sure.
Yeah. They do. They wrap it up in a nice bow, and they do a good thing of like acknowledging the past, but like setting a clear boundary, like this chapter's over.
Yeah.
Which is nice. Yeah.
I know. I think that's probably my favorite too. Although I do like all of these episodes. I think they're all like pretty well done and like different from each other.
Yeah, and there's so many more to choose from. I mean, we could have talked about a few other ones, but these I think are the 4 that stuck out to me when thinking about like memorable teen show graduations.
And they go full graduation in these. Like we're really fully seeing it. I mean, maybe not as much maybe with Vampire Diaries, but like they hit on those sentimental moments.
Yeah.
They're bringing characters back. They are like really closing that chapter.
They do it in their own way.
Yeah, I'm thinking of like for Gossip Girl, I just remember being like, oh, it's like
It's just another
whatever.
episode. Yeah, it's another episode.
Because school just like wasn't as important. I feel like in that show,
Agreed.
It's a different vibe. Although I'll never forget Serena wearing no cap, just a tassel in her hair.
Oh, I don't remember that, but
yeah,
exciting.
It's a moment. She goes,
Oh.
no cap, just tassel. And I was like, should I do that for my graduation? Because that was like when I was graduating.
Oh, wow.
We graduated at the same time.
Oh, that's fun.
Me and the Gossip Gals.
Oh, I was already in college at that point, but you know, I should have maybe just wear a tassel for no reason.
Yeah.
Bring it back.
We should have done that for this episode.
I know. I was thinking, I'm like, is there a place where does Party City have graduation caps? But I don't think they do. Not
Next time.
even, yeah. Like we said, more
We talk about these other episodes one day.
Yeah. Next graduation season. All right. Is it time for our as if rants?
Let's do it. It's time. This is the part of the episode where we rant about something for 15 seconds and we have to say as if.
Yes.
Are you ready, Claire?
I am ready.
Okay, we're going to go in 3, 2, 1, go.
Marissa getting a job on a yacht with absolutely zero work experience, as if. I have watched enough episodes of Below Deck to know that you cannot be a Stu fresh out of high school. She's never waited a table. She's never washed a dish in her life. And you're going to hire this woman to work for rich people? No.
I did love that it was like, now that we know like what a stew is,
Yes.
like picturing Marissa Cooper as a stew is so funny. I do like that they like make jokes about that though in the show. Like
Yeah.
Ryan's like, who would have thought you'd be doing manual labor?
I know. Yeah. It is funny, but it's
I
just
love
so,
it.
like,
We should have known they were going to kill her off.
Right.
There's no way she can be a stew.
But I did appreciate the joke that they make where Summer says, if you meet a hot Greek shipping heir, like call me and I'll be the maid of honor at your wedding, because Misha Barton dated some Greek shipping heirs.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a good one.
We love it.
Yeah.
We love a self-aware show.
All right, are you ready, Jill?
I'm ready.
Let's do it in 3, 2, 1, go.
Peyton Sawyer getting an internship at Sire Records right out of high school, as if. Who gets an internship right out of high school and have it not be for college credit? You have to be in college usually to get an internship. Is she getting paid? As somebody who had 5 internships in college and had to do them all for college credit, I didn't love that storyline.
You're correct, especially at that time. People did not pay their interns. You had to do it for credit, and that's how they got out of paying you a fair wage.
I wanted to see her go to college too, because I felt like Ellie really wanted her to go to college, and I thought that could have been like a fun callback to that.
Yeah, it was a bummer.
Like, just do the college storyline. If you're jumping ahead anyways,
Right,
what does
just-
it really matter?
Yeah.
Like,
She could have worked in like business. She could have had a degree in business management or whatever while
Exactly.
interning.
exactly.
Like most college students. Anyway.
What could have been? Woulda,
know.
coulda, shoulda.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I hope everybody enjoys their graduation season. Maybe you'll be watching these episodes. Maybe you'll be hitting up some graduation parties. I always love the pasta salad at graduation parties. I wish I knew someone who was graduating so I could go to one of
I
these.
know.
They're so fun.
It was like a busy summer. My summer calendar was packed because there was
yeah.
like 3 graduation parties every weekend. It was great.
It was the best time.
I know. Bop it around
So
from one to
fun.
the other. Eating
Bopping
pasta.
around in my sundress.
Oh, yeah.
From Target. Eating pasta
I
salad.
know.
What a time to be alive. Well, thank you all so much for listening. Claire, tell them where they can find us.
You can find us wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us, subscribe, rate, and review us. You can also find us on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at previously on _teen TV. Thanks for listening.